4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. All right. Oh no, the game crashed. Oh jeez. Okay. Well, that was the intro cutscene, and it's one of the biggest travesties of this run that we have to skip the intro cutscene because it's voice acted by Rich Evans. So what happens in that scene is Ash, our protagonist, is he's playing his favorite video game to 0 viewers because the world has ended. So there's no intelligent life left to watch his stream. So his game crashes, he freaks out, and in response he takes that as a call to action to go out into the world and try to find a friend. So that's what we're doing right now, we're trying to find a friend. The issue is that, again, the world has ended, so we're going to have to kind of improvise a little bit and build a friend out of some decomposing body parts that we find. And that's the joy of speedrunning The End is Nigh in a nutshell. So here I am. It's a run and jump platformer. You know, I run and I jump, but there are some nuances to this game. So instead of wall jumps, you know, I come from the Super Meat Boy community, so I'm used to wall jumps. So instead we have these hooks that we grab onto, and some ledges as well that we grab onto. And we can also fast fall, so I'm going to be doing that all over the place, just as like a kind of a small optimization, like a movement optimization. Because Ash's normal falling speed is quite slow, so that'll just speed up the action a little bit. And Ed and Tyler, I was wondering, like, what prompted you guys to try out this system of platforming, where you guys were trying like ledge grabs and hook grabs instead of the, I guess, the more expected mode of platforming with like wall jumps?
I think the best answer would be Spelunky.
Really?
Yeah. Also, before everything else, because that was what we took from Ouroboros.
Yeah.
We had Fast Fall and Ouroboros, and it made the platforming parts of that really interesting.
Oh, cool.
The game's not out yet. It's not going to be out for a very long time if we ever finish it.
Yeah, so that was kind of what this game came out of, right? Like, it was initially like Ouroboros, and then it kind of evolved into this game that we're seeing right now, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, we were working on it for quite a few months, and we kind of were like, well, Tyler would always joke about how perfect the platforming elements were.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it would be great. It would be a lot easier too if we would have just made a platformer. It's like,
So you kind of switched it up and made a platformer, nice.
Yeah, well, we were like, okay, well, you know, it was the end of the year, and we're like, well, what if we just like prototype a little platformer with what we have and see kind of what happens? And it was just everything was just too tight. It felt too good to not explore it. And,
yeah.
You know, sometimes at Ed's house, and we tried a whole bunch of different platformer mechanics.
Cool.
The ledge grab was like the one that felt like it had the most stuff we could do with it.
Yeah. I feel
we
like
prototyped some with the Princess Peach float.
Whoa, that would have been interesting.
The code that's actually probably still in the game.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get the mod team on that. See what they can do.
It kind of started early on as more of like a Metroidvania, more traditional Metroidvania, and we played around with different upgrades. But it's just one of those things where, like, when it comes to just a really finely tuned platformer, it's better to go basic and just rely on the controls and the level design.
Yeah, and the movement's really fluid in this game. So I feel like that's one of the biggest strengths of it in terms of like speedrunning it. And I feel like the action's kind of slowed down a little bit, so the decision making that you have to do is like a lot more like deliberate and thoughtful, as opposed to some other, like, you know, die and retry platformers where you're just kind of bashing your head against a wall and seeing what works.
Yeah, for sure.
So the approach is kind of different in this game, which I like quite a bit.
Yeah, I think when working with Tyler, that was the biggest change. Is he has a history of puzzle platforming.
Yeah.
And I think it was hard not to just lean towards that, because he's very strong when it comes to level design and puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're mostly seeing just the straightforward levels that I designed,
Yeah.
the levels that are above and below, the above and below stuff was all Tyler, and you kind of get this different feel that feels a little more puzzly.
Yeah, we already did the one secret area in the speedrun. Yeah.
You did the 2 levels that I designed that are going to be in the speedrun.
Yeah, kind of flew by. But that was back in Eric Flags.
Tyler called that.
Yeah.
Tyler called that when he made the game. He's like, this is going to be where the speedrunners get into play my levels.
Yeah.
Very specifically added to
Yeah.
long, slow levels.
I mean, the true ending runners do a lot more of your stuff, Tyler, if it's any consolation.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of the different endings, has anybody counted the intro as an ending for like any percentage?
So some people have done like intro cart clears. Initially, we had it as a leaderboard category, but then that kind of felt awkward because it's like it is technically the fastest way to beat the game is clearing the intro cutscene. But yeah, there are like a few people who have posted videos of it, like doing it in one go, but we don't really have like a proper community around it, like we do.
It probably wouldn't last that long.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody would. Well, I mean, you have to beat it without dying, so that kind of how much you can actually do to make that part go fast.
Right. There's only so much you can optimize a run where you're supposed to be deathless, kind of to begin with. Yeah, but
I mean, isn't there that one game where you just hit left at the start and it instantly wins that got speedrun a few times?
Are you talking about Barney's hide and seek? Because there's there's like the any percent no controller category. But in any case,
don't press any button wins.
Right? Yeah, you just like you don't even like. Anyways, I'm playing the End is Nigh right now, and not Barney's hide and seek. So I guess we can.
You have to press at least one button for this game.
True. Yeah, a couple of buttons. The directions and the jumps and what have you.
Do you have a moment for a few quick donations?
Oh, totally. Go ahead.
So I have a few that are directed specifically at you, Ham.
Oh, sure.
I've got $20 from Zelnoth. It says, just donating to remind Warm Ham that Retro 3 is free.
Oh my god, guys, I'm getting bullied.
Also, Ultramarlin donated 1502 and says, just 2 words for Ham, Retro free, with a smiley face.
You guys are throwing the run, GG. It's all on you.
It's a meme.
Also, Dudley Do Right donates $10 with a slightly more positive donation that says, I love you, Ham. You are the best, Ham. Do real good. Love you again, Duds.
Nice. Hey, Duds. Wish you were here. XOXO. Oh, dude, I just took a tough death there. So with these birds, so I have to like stay to the right.
By the way.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, at least they're not RNG, right? So it could have been way worse. But I have to stay to the right of them if I want to go right, and I have to stay to the left of them if I want to go left. It's like pretty straightforward in concept, but the execution is actually one of the hardest parts of this speed run. So I'm going to try to get one more bird strat here. Stay to the right. Nice, got it.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, birds are one of the hardest parts of the speedrun to adjust to, I'd say, in terms of like just learning the speedrun. They can be done consistently, again, because thankfully there's no RNG in this game. So thanks for that, guys.
Also, you might be noticing that in some of the levels, there's these little floating doodads
Yes.
on the sides of the levels.
Oh, yeah.
Those are called tumors.
Yes.
And we won't say exactly what they're used for. We'll just keep that until the end.
All right, that'll come up later. You'll see.
How many of those do you play?
Getting for the.
So if we're talking like an optimized run, we tend to go for like less than 10 nowadays. But oops, this strat's really hard because I have to grab this corner. Come on. Let me just get this real quick. There we go. Okay. Hey. All right. But for this speedrun, I'm going to be getting about 20 just because it's a marathon and I want to play it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, without
So, like,
spoiling
for the,
why.
For the ones that are in the levels that you do normally, are you doing any of the quick like?
I mean, I'm not going too far out of my way for them. Like, I'm going for the ones that are kind of in the optimal path. I just skipped a level off to the right there, by the way. We don't do Exodus 4 in this run. So yeah, this is Exodus. This is one of my favorite segments in terms of just the environment. I feel like it's very eerie. It's like this weird haunted ghost ship area.
Also, shout out to the sad boy Steve there.
Oh yeah, so there are like those like hidden areas that you can go into if you collect enough of those tumors. That's one of the uses of them. So we won't be going into any of those hidden areas because again, we're just really doing the core game here. But yeah, if you were doing like a full game completion run, you'd probably be going in there. Oh jeez, I'm trying to do a cycle skip here.
How much stress do speedrunners feel when they're really going all the way?
Oh jeez, I mean, especially when you get to end game, the stress is kind of through the roof because yeah.
I really wonder if there are people who can just turn it off.
Well, Ultra Marlin did when he got his 31-minute time recently. Oh, geez, what just happened there?
Is that the record, 31?
Yeah, it's a 31:58 at the moment. We use kind of a funky timing that involves the in-game frame count plus any real-time menuing and cutscenes. Just because there's like some lag frames on some PCs in between screens, so real-time wouldn't really make much sense for. So that kind of like equalizes it for all PCs. Because the frame count's the frame count. And then real-time menuing and cutscenes doesn't take that much time in the run, but that's just kind of how we do it. I have a 33:23, I think, so I'm in second by by a fair amount. Marlon got like a god tier run, and
how many tumors did he get? Do you know?
Oh, geez, I don't know offhand. I think like 11 or 12 maybe. It was low, and we've actually started doing 0 tumor runs. Some of us, which is like actually, if you think about it, less than optimal because some of them are like in our direct pathway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is that, well, again, I don't want to spoil it, but But
have you ever done the Nevermore ending run?
I actually haven't yet, but that's kind of on my to-do list. On my practice file, I actually haven't even gotten the requirements necessary for the secret ending, because I've been just kind of grinding this category for a little bit, but...
People do like 0 tumors for that part, right?
Oh yeah, for the last chapter of True Ending, they have to do 0 tumors to be optimal, which is kind of wild. Yeah. So here we are in the Hollows. This is a chapter with some nice atmospheric lighting, some mood lighting. So I feel like there are some like throwbacks kind of aesthetically to some of your previous games, and I'm wondering like if there are any like subtle references that, I don't know, the average player might not recognize in some of your previous games.
The lighting in this area is a throwback to my first game, Enclosure.
Ah, that's what I thought. I had that in my notes, but I didn't want to bring it up just in case I was wrong.
Yeah, one of the secret areas is specifically a Enclosure level.
Oh, really? Wow.
The one where it blocks your vision and you can only see the light.
Oh, with the light up guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And then I feel like the next chapter feels kind of like a throwback to Hell and Super Meat Boy, which is kind of cool.
Hell in general.
Hell in general, yeah, true. Yeah. Not unique to Super Meat Boy. There we are, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of nods to Gish, like the Forlorn Hollow and Golgotha and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't not go to hell in every game I make. Kind of the way to go.
Yeah.
Game development just sends you into that kind of place, I guess.
Golgotha this time, though.
A few more messages from community members, if you're up for hearing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
We have $10 from Ezek, who says, had to donate when my boy Wormham was running. Good luck with the run, and hello from the Super Meat Boy Discord.
Yo, thanks, dude.
Also have $15.20 from Hapax, who says, urgent message to speedrunner Wormham. From the End is Nigh Discord server admin. If he doesn't do the new Machine 6 strat, I'm banning him.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna get banned because I'm not doing that strat. It saves like a second and a half, and it's like absolutely not worth it. But thanks, Hapax. Looking forward to that ban.
Is there a reason why you do the branches in the order that you do, or is it just preference?
I think it ultimately comes down to preference. There's like a little menu warp trick that I do going into retrograde. So I briefly went into retro earlier, just to maybe save like a second. It's hard to say, but it does come down to preference as far as we know right now. I'm gonna go for kind of a tricky strat on this next level. Wish me luck.
When I'm playing, I usually do this branch first because I just find the Golgotha the easiest of the areas.
Yeah, it's like the pure platforming area, and it's pretty short too because the Hollows is, as you saw, pretty quick. I mean, a lot of it's just like fast falling through the stages. Yeah. Yeah, but in terms of the speedrun, like Wall of Sorrow is a huge reset point for a lot of people. So they try to get that over with first, just because, like, you know, if they're gonna throw, they'd rather throw early so they can reset and start over.
Also, I realized like in this game, there's a lot of stuff to do. Was there anything that you wanted to put in the game but otherwise couldn't because of time or anything else?
We were working up till the end, and we put everything in.
Yeah, like
I think at like the last like few weeks of development, we added. Like,
What's
all
up,
of
Discord?
The,
by the way, sorry, I just got Retro 3. All right. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, that was the okay.
Yeah, that was Retro
level
3. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying. I got a little sidetracked there.
we added like all the future warps and stuff, and the Iron Man carts. That was all like. Hey, we need to do this. This feels wrong. There's a hole here. Like, we need more.
The Jet Racer cart was like I added that while Ed was animating all the cutscenes because we had like one blank space on the map where you could get a cart, and we're like, there's no cart for this area, but there's space here. I think we rearranged which carts you got.
Yeah, we did. There was a bunch of last-minute edits that were just like, this feels right, and there was actually a lot of thought into like what will stress speedrunners out the most.
Well, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's lots of like small skips. Like on this one, I'm gonna just try to stay to the right here so that I don't go on that platform off to the left, which is a very stressful moment because there are like spikes all over the place. Yeah, little moments like that really make this an interesting speedrun. Like, never really plays the same way twice.
Oh, right here on this level, you're going to be noticing kind of the first instance of Mother. Appearing.
Oh yeah, Mother. The best name for any NPC in this game right here.
That's by far my favorite. They were originally called Creep, and in my mind I still call them Creep.
Oh, right.
They were.
That happens with like everything that is developer names of things and stuff.
Creep was my favorite mechanic that we added by far.
Mother is a much creepier name, I have to say.
Oh yeah.
Like 10 times creepier.
People don't realize that it's for Mother Earth.
Mother Earth. Oh wow. The
Yeah,
lore.
it's not the full name of it, but that's kind of like where that
Oh,
comes from.
cool.
Speaking of names,
It's funny how most of the game's actual like story or lore or whatever you want to call it pretty much dwells in our minds, and we just leave pieces of it out there and people can pick it apart. There's a lot going on,
Yeah.
but a lot is left unspoken, so
speaking
it
of,
doesn't matter. It's a video game, right? People are just going to speedrun it.
Right. But no, like you do get a sense that there's like a universe to this game because like all of the chapters have like a distinct feel to them. Right? So I feel like there is some kind of meaning to all of this that I don't really grasp, and I feel like I'm never going to grasp it, which is kind of frustrating and interesting from a speedrunning perspective. Because I play this game a lot, and I still don't really know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, you know?
The main thing you need to worry about is just the fact that this is just basically allegory for an endlessly stressful situation.
Yeah.
And that's what we went in going for. It's like, how can we make something that feels devastatingly stressful but fun?
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture of both. Our casual playthroughs of this game, we played this game day one, and it was very stressful. I couldn't complete it in one sitting because I just got like too frustrated at the end. So you definitely succeeded on that front. We haven't really talked about the OST, but Ridiculon did this, and we were kind of noticing during our like practice commentary runs that you know, all of these songs have different like classical, or like all of these chapters rather have different like classical music tracks going on, and I was wondering like how did you guys like match these classical music tracks to the chapter, or was that Ridiculon who was responsible?
That
for
was mostly me actually. Ed said, "How about classical music remixes?" Because I don't know. We started off with the game thinking it was going to be like a 2-month project.
Yeah.
And so we needed to be able to do stuff very fast, and that was sort of a quick way of getting music that matches the levels, was doing classical music remixes and 2-month project. But
yeah.
After that, I went and like listened to all the classical music that I could on YouTube and Spotify and stuff, and just marked down like little like 2-minute excerpts in these 50-minute long symphonies that the mood of the areas that we were working on.
Yeah. Flight of the Bumblebee is when you're playing this for the first time, talk about stress. Like this loop in your ear for like 45 minutes just drives you up a wall. But it was
like the one that everybody knows the name of.
Yeah.
It was challenging to find tracks that, because there's so many great tracks out there, but there's so many tracks that are being used by like cartoons, and they have like a happy feel to them. So it was like, how can we take something that people will associate with like Looney Tunes and make it stressful and dark?
Yeah.
Like, how can we get away with that when it's been established?
I was gonna die there from the start. I knew it.
But yeah, in the beginning, like Tyler was alluding to, we kind of went and being like, okay, what's the cheapest and most effective way to do something cool?
Yeah.
And then the second is thematically, I wanted to have this kind of echo of the past. Like, you can imagine some like satellite that we launched ages ago to the aliens with like samples of classical music playing from the sky.
It's pretty cool. All right, so I'm building my friend here, and wouldn't you know it, the world just ended a second time. Golly gee. So here's what the tumors are for that I was collecting earlier in the run. I got a few less than I was anticipating. I wasn't really keeping track because we were chatting, but so I have 17. These are lives now. So the first part of the game, I have as many lives as I want to complete the stages. Now I have harder platforming on top of a finite amount of lives. So if I run out of lives, I game over and I have to start the chapter over again. So the stakes are kind of higher here. So
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
I didn't
guys.
even know you could do that.
Whose idea was that to come up with the life counter at the end of the game?
Well, it was my idea originally to have the life counter from the beginning.
Oh.
And that was the original design. And then after that, it was like how can we kind of keep with that? Like, this is just another stress point. Like, this is just another thing. As you go, as you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You pile it on thick at the end.
It's got to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where realistically, I mean, most people who play this will get to this point and be like, oh, I have a ton of lives, I'm fine. And it won't matter that much. Like, you get like 80, 100 tumors and you're fine.
Right.
But it's still that visual up there in the corner. Knowing that you have lives now is a huge stressor for a lot of people. So it's just a subtle play on these different visuals of like, I'm confident that most people that can get 80 to 100 tumors and get here will be fine. But
that's
if
what you
they
think.
know that that's there, if they know that that's there and it's ticking down, it's going to be an extra stressful situation.
Yeah.
And we play around with that with especially with the Iron Man carts and stuff like that, where when I was designing those levels, it's like, okay, I could beat if I was loading up those levels, which I was when I was playing them, like loading them up and beating them individually, no problem, not dying whatsoever. They're easy levels. They are easy levels, but when you remove all lives and you have one life and you have to do it in sequence, the stress gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and eventually you screw up.
When you have zero lives
loops
left.
of dying on the same obstacle over and over again the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have 0 lives left and you know that you have another 5 levels to go, it's like kind of over before it even begins. I'm gonna go for a cycle skip here. Let's see if I can get it.
In the in your original design, was the live system like global and not chapter based, or was it just chapter based? Like if you run out of lives, you just have to start the chapter over.
No, it was a game over. It was a hard game over from the get-go.
Nice.
Like it was like we played around with the idea of kind of doing an ARG type game where what this ended up turning into, and this is a spoiler, turning into the All-Star carts. Like all the carts in the game, it's kind of how the original idea on paper when I was designing it like came to be. It's like I wanted to give a bunch of streamers these different carts, and if they could beat them, I wanted to combine them, and they were all going to just have like one life basically, and that was going to be it. And that's I wanted to do something super stressful and super hardcore, but I think realistically, once we got more than a few days into just talking about development, we knew that we were making a game that was fairly inaccessible already. So
well, we were trying it a lot. Like a lot of the designs that required limited lives early on meant that the levels needed to be, pretty easy to actually beat on your first try. Otherwise, it's just resource.
Yeah.
And we're testing it, and people are dying like 15 times on each level. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. So a big group of us blind raced this game on the day it came out, and we didn't know like that there was going to be a life counter at the end, and so obviously some of us were just kind of speeding through the first part of the game, and as a result, 16 of us started and 4 of us finished. It was ridiculous. Yeah. But
I wish I could have seen it. I watched a lot of streams in the first week of release, and it was insane. Like
yeah.
It was crazy to see that realization, and then it was crazy to see the other realizations as people went. And
watching those speedruns develop was also pretty funny too.
Yeah, Tyler, you were in the Discord for a while, actually, just kind of like helping us out with some of the back-end stuff, so we could like really get the speedrun off the ground when the game came out, which was really awesome.
So
Fun.
Yeah.
So when you guys were designing the hard equivalents of the game after the game over, how many iterations did that like roughly take, or was like pretty much clear cut from the beginning?
yeah, I don't iterate that much, and for this I barely iterated at all. It was what it was from the beginning, and if I could do it consistently a few times, we're good to go. And I think and then Tyler would go back through and give it a second opinion, and if that was good enough,
Yeah.
There were a few levels that got redone, but not more than like 1 or 2 per chapter and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was more tuning. There was quite a few levels where I would go back and add ways to get through them faster because they were a little laggy, and
There were some levels where there was you could just jump right to the end and not do the level.
yeah.
There was one in Blight that you could just swim under it.
Oh, really?
All levels.
I wish we had some
I'm
freebies
sure,
like that.
I'm
in
sure
Blight.
there's more. I'm sure there's more of those hidden somewhere. Like, there's got to be more. Like, it took quite a while for people to find weird glitches and stuff in
True.
Meat Boy, and
Yeah.
there's got to be some sort of design flaw on my part in here where somebody can bypass them.
Well,
I know there's water jumps, which
Yeah.
are you doing?
Oh yeah, I'll be doing some water jumps in this chapter. So what I'm going to be doing is basically I'll be inputting a fastfall above the surface of the water, and then as I'm hitting the surface of the water, I'll input a jump, and that'll give Ash a ton of extra height and allow me to do a couple of cycle skips up ahead. We'll see how those go.
I found that like a week before release by accident, and I didn't know what I did. I just jumped really high out of the water, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. So what led you to keep it in?
Too late to fix it, because if we went and like fix that, you'd have to go through and make sure that it didn't break every
Like
single
everything
level in the
else,
game.
yeah.
There's a lot of levels in the game.
Right. Yeah. Like 600 or something. Yeah.
It's not like
There's actually
it's not
something
something that would for people getting it accidentally. So
Yeah.
There's something interesting that one of the few things that we went back and forth on for like a day was the water and the logic of like when you enter the water, because initially the logic would be if you were holding jump when you hit the top of the water, you'd bounce off of it like a balloon.
Right. Huh.
And that's how most games would do it. But that just felt wrong, so we made it so you'd have to press it again in order to go back up, and that's where I think that glitch kind of came. That's how that was born.
All right. So I just did a water jump there to grab that switch.
Nice.
Barely got out of there in time.
the water jump has to do with when you release fastfall, it undoes your vertical momentum, and so it just happens that when you do that and jump at the same time, the water that it adds
It gives you some extra height.
fast falling
Yeah.
with the jump
Yeah.
or with the swim speed.
There was another one there to get onto that hook. And we have a particularly challenging one coming up here on the next level, where I have to basically get the max height possible with the water jump. So this is probably going to take me a few tries and look pretty silly, but here we go. Hopefully I get it kind of soon. Oh my god, I got it first try.
Oh my god!
All right. That was such a train wreck in practice, but yo, we're good. All right, great.
Watching people not do that in the early days of the speedrunning. I know, I think I stopped stopped being like completely up to date on the speedruns after a record that nobody beat for like 3 months.
Yeah, B-Rex had the record for like 3 months. He got like a time that literally nobody could touch, and then I had it for a month, and then Ultramarlin's gonna have it for a while because he got like sub 32 out of like basically nowhere. All right. Oh my God.
Donation if you have a moment.
Somebody just saw that to the left of me. Yeah, we have time for a donation before we get into the last section of the run.
Canderos donated another $15.20. It says, congrats on getting Retro 3 first try. Much love from the Discord ham.
Yeah, thanks guys.
And I also have a $200 donation from 8-Bit Geezer with no comment. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks guys. All right, so yeah, we are coming into the final section of the run already. Oh, almost died there. And so this is where, I mean, like the last 3 chapters that I've done have all been kind of remixes of the first 3 chapters, and this is kind of where the game design diverges pretty radically, and everything gets thrown on the table. It starts with this real doozy where there's like a billion fish, and just kind of escalates from there.
Everybody loves those fish.
Oh yeah.
The fish and the birds, I get a lot of.
A lot of hate mail. Yeah. Yeah. Again, they're not RNG, but like sometimes they just kind of feel like it because they're really tough to manage.
It's also important to note that the water he's in, he can't stay in it for too long, or else he'll die. So.
Right. This is like ultra poison water, so it kills me faster than the water in the previous chapters. And now we have mines. Oh, jeez. Okay. These are really tricky because they send Ash flying through these stages at, I think, as far as I can tell, his fastest movement speed. So these levels are really difficult to like manage his movement across the stage. Oops. And now we have conveyors. I can get up them a little bit faster than usual. I was doing some of that in Machine. Just by alternating fast fall and jump, they allow us to kind of change some movement up there a little bit faster than usual.
Are you playing with the keyboard or?
I'm playing with a DualShock 4.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, tight ghost
Split
cycle
on whether
there.
or not people like keyboard or controller better.
Yeah, I think it comes down to preference based on what I've heard from people. You know, I started this game on controller and I've kind of been that way ever since, but I imagine that the keyboard experience is pretty similar overall.
All right, so these are lasers, and
Yes.
you basically have a split second to get out of the way, or you're done for.
So I'm trying to like avoid interacting with them at all by doing this skip, which is costing me a lot of lives at the moment, actually. Hey, there we go. Oh my god, dude. Wow, I just got major sniped again, dude. Oh my god, help. All right, get me out of here. All right, there we go. Thanks, guys. All right, I'm just like wasting time here. I'm like so thrown right now. I got to get back on track here. All right. Thankfully, I have some buffer lives here to get me through these last levels. We're coming up on definitely the trolliest physics mechanic I've ever seen in any video game ever in the next level. So thanks again, guys, for that one. Yeah, so now Ash is moving to the left. Like uncontrollably, so I have to like manage his movement midair. He moves very fast to the left and very slow to the right. There's a reason for that we'll see in a second. But when you get to this part of the run for the first time and you have like 2 lives left, and you can't really control Ash's movement, everything just feels kind of hopeless, you know? This level's a thing. And then this level ends with a really tight jump. Just in case you still had any lives left at the end, this jump is really trolly, but we got it. All right, so we found our friend, and here we are at the end of the run. I'm curious, like, because there are no bosses in this game. I was wondering, like, what compelled you guys to like do an escape sequence for like a finishing part of the run?
It's the most stressful thing you can do. You put a timer.
Remember that ridiculously difficult set of levels you just did?
Yes.
Do it in reverse on a 6-minute timer.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty elegant and evil, so.
And also to add on top of that stress, once the counter starts hitting 4 minutes, the screen begins to slightly shake. And then as time goes down further and further, that screen just starts shaking even more.
By the time you get to like 30 seconds, you literally can't see what you're doing. It's like...
And also the music, and this is my favorite part of the whole game.
For sure,
is
for
the
sure.
sequence. And the music is just perfect. And I mean, I don't know if you remember the first time you did it and how close you were, or if you didn't make it, but I've seen some streams where they made it by 1 or 2 seconds, and it was beautiful. Like, it's the most stressful thing
It's
in
the clutchest
world.
feeling in the world. That's what. Oh no, dude! I got what I think is the coolest skip in the run. There we go. Hey, I had to do it twice in a row just to show off, I guess. There we go. All right. Jeez, man. All right. Yeah, this is a very stressful part of the run, just like all of the other parts of the run, really. Thankfully, I don't need all 6 minutes because I'm speed running. So thankfully, I kind of figured it out eventually how to do this part of the run. But yeah, you really do need those 6 minutes when you're first doing this. I mean, I got to like the second to last level here, my first playthrough, probably like 6 or 7 times before I ran out of time and had to start all over again. So
Some of these levels used to be a lot worse. Like this was right towards the end of development. We were making a lot of the reverse path to these levels a lot easier.
Yeah, time's coming up, by the way, when I hit the mouth at the end of Ruin 1 here. And time. Thanks, guys.
It's a 35.
Was that a 35?
Yeah.
No way! Nice, dude. All right. Yeah, that was a much better time than I thought. So, gee.
It was
All
a
right.
35-51.
Cool. Hey, I'll take that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Ed and Tyler, thank you so much for making this game. It has been a pleasure to play for the last few hundred hours that I've been playing games. So, so thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for playing it at AGDQ.
Yeah, my pleasure. And by the way, the world ended a third time, just in case that wasn't enough. We get 3 apocalypses in one game. It's a nice
This is
touch.
a happy ending, though. This is a happy ending.
Yeah.
Sure.
He smiles.
He smiles and then gets obliterated.
The only time he smiles.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, he feels true happiness in this moment.
It's sweet relief.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much, and